afternoon and happy Easter. My name is OBurrows and we are grateful you made the time to join us on NTV At One on this festive day. With me this afternoon is Kennedy Mureithi, who's at Parliament Buildings. He'll be telling us about the preparations ahead of tomorrow's National Assembly sitting. We're also joined by Kevin Mutai, who is in Mombasa with the plight of tuk-tuk operators. And we also have Seth Olale, who will be joining us shortly. He is at the Kiserian roadblock, and we'll be hearing from him on what the transport situation looks like. All right, we start with Kennedy Mureithi. As I said, he's following up on the special sitting that is scheduled to take place tomorrow on the measures instituted by the executive as far as COVID-19 is concerned, particularly the tax cuts. Kennedy, what does Parliament look like? What are the sitting arrangements?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Olive, there in studio. And we are really living in interesting times. If any of us would have been told that we would be experiencing such times, we will never have agreed to them. But at this particular time, what is happening in Parliament is that the staff are going through the last minute checks to make sure that everything is ready for when members come in for a sitting tomorrow. And this is actually what we have come to know, is that in the last month since members of Parliament went on recess, there have been plans that have been underway ever since that last day. And actually even some parliamentary staff are telling me that they have not even blinked, even in the sense that they go home. They have been going home for a few hours, then coming back to make sure that everything is going. At this particular time, we are doing our interviews from outside because we also do understand that there are other plans that are going on within the chamber just to make sure that it is ready. The day before yesterday, there were some guidelines that were released by the Speaker of the National Assembly that even called on members of Parliament to apply to come for this particular sitting that is going to be there tomorrow. Also, what we do understand is that we are seeing some plans that are going on, and if my camera person Nelly will be able to show, is that there is this board here that is calling on members of Parliament and even everybody who will be here to kindly observe social distancing. And the note says even maintain 1.5 meters apart and stay safe. We want to know what is the number of members that are going to be in the chamber. We want to know how many people have even confirmed their attendance, and what is it that is what has been put in place to make sure that everybody is going to be safe when they do come here. So I'm joined by the Clerk of the National Assembly, that is Mike Sialai, and he is actually telling me that I have to observe the social distancing 1.5 meters. And there is the question, you guys have been here for quite some time with regards to preparations, and tomorrow Parliament is going to come back as per the calendar. They broke for a 1 month recess. What do we expect tomorrow, and what plans have been put in place?
Thank you, NTV. First and foremost is to inform members that we are coming back, and the public that our recess is ending tomorrow and we are coming back to the House as per our calendar, and that so far we've made a number of arrangements to ensure safety for members of Parliament and staff during the crucial sitting of tomorrow. The House adjourned on 17th of March and it's coming back tomorrow as by the law. We have a number of businesses to do. We expect committees to table reports in respect of a number of regulations that have been published by the Ministries of Health and the Ministry of Interior relating to all issues of COVID. Those are around 4 regulations, obviously including COVID-19 fund, the issue of the tax, the variation of tax from 16 to 14% VAT, among others. In addition, we have the tax laws amendment bill that has been before us. We expect to do the first reading and the second reading tomorrow. Committees have been sitting, by the way, for the regulations. I can confirm to you that the Committee on Delegated Legislation has been sitting. They have reviewed those regulations and will be informing the House of the outcome of those regulations. Where the committees have agreed, they don't have to be passed by the House. They will be informed accordingly. Where the House have had other issues, they will inform the House. And for the finance, the Committee on Finance, they have been looking at the tax law amendment bill In fact, we are open today and last Friday to allow members of the public to bring in memoranda, and we actually gave out the notice so that the committee will be looking at it tomorrow in the morning. We hope we've given the public adequate time to look at those proposals, and after finishing with second reading, the House will decide when next to sit and go to Committee of the Whole House and pass the tax law amendment bill.
Also, there is the question of how many members of Parliament will be allowed. We are saying that Parliament opens tomorrow as per its calendar, but are there adequate plans to accommodate all the 349 members plus the Speaker?
Indeed, it's true that the Speaker has issued supplementary guidelines on sitting in the House to ensure safety. The Minister of Health had advised us on a number of measures to be put in place. We have put them in place. They had proposed that we have 66 members in the chamber, but after review, we are taking it number to 40 now members of Parliament seated in the House, but also the members' lounge next to the chamber will be declared as part of the chamber. It will take another 12 members to give it a quorum. In addition, we have set aside a number of designated areas where members will wait to participate in the proceedings of the House. This includes the members' lounge, the dining room. Even outside here, you see we've set up the tents because we want members to be seated. What will happen is that members who are in the chamber, the 40 plus the 12 who are in the members' lounge, will be part and parcel of the chamber. But that does not mean the others who are in holding rooms or designated areas are not participating. They will be given an opportunity to go to the House and contribute, and you will shortly be seeing Mr. Moreji when we go. So those who are sitting in the chamber, yes, they will contribute, but the Speaker will also give an opportunity to a number of members who wish to debate to walk to the chamber, address the House, and go back to where they are seated. Two, we want to clarify also that all members who will be present will actually participate in voting. Once a matter has been discussed in the House and the question is put, the Speaker will, the division bell will be rung if need be, and members who are in the chamber, who are in the members' lounge, and those who have been seated well spaced in the designated areas will be asked to vote. Previously, we used to have what we call tellers, witnesses, and we were actually going to have tellers appointed in those holding grounds to allow members to vote. So all members will be.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, those are some of the measures that we do understand. The clerk of the National Assembly, who has been overseeing this process, and he actually told me before we started this that he has not even gotten an opportunity to sleep well because this program has really taken so much of his time, and he has to make sure that the members who are going to come here are very well taken care of. We've seen plans that are going to be there and plans that are already being made, and probably in our later story we'll be giving you a detail by detail approach of how this will be happening. How will it be that 40 members are going to be seated? How will the others in the lobby be, the 12 members that we're being told about? Because the quorum is 50, and how is business going to be transacted? So for now, this is what we could actually bring you, but we'll be making sure that everything is going to be disseminated in our 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock stories, as we also remain here to give you preparations on what is happening in Parliament as it resumes its sittings tomorrow. Back to you, Olive, in studio.
To confirm that so far we have
I suppose it's a good thing that Kennedy has long arms. He was therefore able to speak to the clerk of the National Assembly, Michael Sialai, without breaching the directive on social distancing. All right, tuk-tuk operators in Mombasa are complaining over harassment by lenders who want to repossess their vehicles over delayed loan repayment. They claim that the sector has been affected by COVID-19 and are therefore appealing to government to cushion their businesses at this time. Kevin Mutai joins us live from Mombasa with the details. Kevin, what exactly are they looking for government to do?
Indeed, from that intro, Oliver, I can tell you that some of them are going to work daily. Fearing that their vehicles might be repossessed either by lenders or even some of the businessmen selling tuk-tuks here in the region, because right now they're saying that business is down, and this is because since the outbreak of coronavirus, the outbreak of the virus, most of the customers have not been easy to find, and especially during now that everybody, the region is under containment, Mombasa County being one of them, and of course Kwale and Kilifi counties. They're saying that business is down, and they were expecting to at least get some adjustments, or rather readjustments in modes of payment, and even the period at which they are supposed to clear those loans, because most of them are actually acquired these tuk-tuks using loans either to the banks directly or even some personal loans. So it is something that they're struggling with, grappling with the repayment of these loans to various institutions, but they are asking the government to come up with a way, or even the industry players, the Ministry of Transport, to set up or come up with some regulations and guidelines to help them at least not only to cushion their business, but of course also try and salvage the situation, because they're struggling to make ends meet and at least find something to take home for their families. But let me just quickly bring in one of them to get a glimpse of how it is, and just to get the news from the news source. Kwanza kabisa jitambulisha kwa majina, waitwa nani, alafu tueleze shughuli yenu, ama mnalalamika kwamba shida ni kulipa ile loan mweza kuchukua kwa bank. Hali iko vipi kwa sasa? Hali yako mwenyewe binafsi zungumzia kwa kabla hujataja wenzako.
Okay, kwa majina yangu mimi naitwa Michael Charo, mimi ni mkaaji wa Mombasa. Mimi ni mwanabiashara wa tuktuk. Okay, nimenunua ile tuktuk na mkopo, nimechukua mkopo, na nimechukua hiyo mkopo kwa sababu ya kufanya hiyo biashara hapa Mombasa na hiyo tuktuk. Lakini kuanzia sasa ilipoanza hii mambo ya hii coronavirus, imetu affect sana kama sisi waendeshaji wa tuktuk na biashara zetu, kwa sababu hakuna biashara kabisa kufikia sasa, hakuna pesa, hakuna watu wote, kila mmoja wamekaa manyumbani, wengine wamesafiri. Sasa imekuwa ni hali ngumu na ni changamoto kubwa sana kwetu kama sisi madrivers wa tuktuk, na special sasa tuko na malon.
Niambie ulichukua loan ya pesa ngapi?
Nilichukua loan, hiyo ilikuwa ni ya 450,000. Na kwanza kabisa nikatoa 250 na ikabakia hiyo 200,000. So hiyo 200,000 kila wiki nimechukua na watu credit, na kila wiki nikawa nalipa shilingi 3,975 kila wiki. Na loan yangu ilianza mwaka jana mwezi wa 6 tarehe 17. Na nimeanza hapo kulipa kila wiki ninatuma hiyo pesa na kulipa kila wakati. Lakini sasa ilipoanza hii hali ya huu ugonjwa wa corona, imetu affect sana kama sisi tuliochukua hizi malon. Na kama serikali ilivyoagiza ya kwamba malon zote, ama watu wote ambao walichukua malon kwa bank, wote wakaweze kupewa muda kwanza, kulingana na hii hali itakapoisha, kisha waanze hali yao ya kulipa kawaida vile walivyokuwa kilipa.
Umebakisha pesa ngapi?
Kwa ufupi sasa nimebakisha 30,000 ndio imebaki, kwa sababu hiyo ni wiki 7. Katika hiyo wiki 7 ukifanya mahesabu ya 3,000 na 975 kwa hizo wiki 7, it's around kama 30,000 hapo. Hiyo ndo balance iko. Lakini sasa kulingana na ile hali vile iko, hawa jamaa hawataki kujua kabisa. Kila Monday lazima watume message na lazima tulipe. Tusipolipa ile gari zitachukuliwa zote. Sasa hiyo imetuathiri sana kama sisi wanabiashara.
Sawa. Ndugu yangu wa mwisho kabisa, ukifupisha tu, hebu tueleze hali yako iko kivipi? Wewe ni mhudumu wa tuktuk na umekuwa ukipitia hali hii kwa muda gani?
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Sumba S Bonoyo.
Naomba tafadhali uweze kufunika barakoa, funika mdomo.
Mimi naitwa Sumba S Bonoyo. Mimi ni mkazi wa hapa Mombasa. Mimi ni mtu wako na familia. Niko na bibi na watoto 5. Na mimi nategemea hii biashara ya tuktuk kupata mapato yangu ya kuniwezesha pale nyumbani na hata majukumu mengine. Lakini jambo ambayo imetughadhabisha sana ni kwamba wiki 3 zilizopita president aliweza kutoa order kwa sababu hii tuktuk tulichukua kwa mkopo, na president akatuambia kutokana na hii hali ngumu wa Kenya wanapitia kwa sasa, ni tuende pale kwa zile bank tuliweza kuchukua loan ili tuweze kuadjust a period of repayment na 1 year.
Na je, pengine hali hiyo imeathiri vipi maisha yako?
Hali hii imetuathiri kwa sababu hii tuktuk kabla nilikuwa natengeza shilingi 3,000, shilingi 2,500 na mpaka saa hizi sasa siwezi hata kutengeza shilingi 1,000 na hiyo sijaweka mafuta, sijafanya service, sijalipa county government. Na nilipoenda pale kwa watu credit ambao ndio walinipa hii tuktuk, nikawaelezea hii hali, wakaniambia hiyo hali hawaelewi na hakuna kitu kama hiyo, na ni lazima tuendelee kulipa loan kama vile tulivyokuwa tunalipa. Na hiyo ndio kitu ambayo inanilazimisha leo kuja kuleta kilio changu kwa serikali na kwa CBK ambao walitoa hoda hii. Nataka kujua perimeter ya ile oda ilikuwa ni mpaka wapi, kwa sababu tunaumia. Tumeona oda zingine kama vile curfew imetolewa na polisi wanatimiza bila hata kupoteza muda. Na hivi sasa hii ya loan hakuna mtu anafuatilizia. Tunashuku tuktuk zetu zitachukuliwa kwa sababu hawa watu sio kama vile mabank zingine.
Sawa.
Wanasema sio waangalie ile maximum period ya repayment. Wanaangalia ukidefault within the first 2 months, wanarepossess the tuktuk, pesa zako inapotea na kila kitu inaenda hivyo. Na hiyo ndio wasiwasi yetu, na ndiposa tunaomba serikali waweze kuingia kati ili waweze kuokoa watu katika watu credit.
Well, you've heard those are just views from two tuk-tuk operators from here in Mombasa County, and I believe that they're sharing views of many other operators, not only here in Mombasa, but especially those who have been affected in one way or another as with regards to the COVID-19. But apart from that, the region is still, reeling from the effects of the coronavirus. The businesses, different businesses that are, of course, are also being affected, but of course also it's worth noting that security officials are continuously enforcing some of the regulations as directed by the president, one of them being not to allow movements in and out of the 3 coastal counties. This is because the authorities want to arrest the spread of the virus. As of now, we are still monitoring on how the authorities, health authorities, whatever they're doing to ensure that they stop the spread of this virus. But from now here in Mombasa, I hand it over back to my colleague Seth Olale, who I'm told is in Isinya. Seth, what is happening in Isinya?
Well, thank you so much, Kevin Mutai from County 001. Right now we are in County 034, and you're asking what is happening here. The police are actually just making sure that that particular directive, the cessation of movement order issued by the president, it is being enforced, or rather affected here in Isinya. This is an international highway. Remember that this particular road, you can have, it goes all the way to the Namanga border on your way to Tanzania. Having come from the Nairobi CBD, of course, via Kitengela, and now we are here in Isinya. And this is just is that the usual script when it comes to manning these particular roadblocks? They're just allowing goods to pass through this particular roadblock. And it's not just any other good. It has to be essential goods. And also the personnel that are being allowed to go through this particular roadblock, or rather barrier, like the vehicle you just saw, the personnel they have to be offering essential services. But right now, I just want to talk to Adan Ahmed, who is the Isinya Sub-County DCIO officer in charge of this particular barrier. Just tell us about the operation so far. How many have you managed to turn away? And those who you allow access, are they cooperating, or do they have the required documentation?
Thank you. Welcome to border number 10 along Isinya Kajiado Road. This is the start of Nairobi Metropolitan. And it's between Isinya and Kajiado. As you said, my name's Adan Ahmed. I'm the Sub-County Criminal Investigation Officer, Isinya Sub-County. I've been here for some days, and what you have since witnessed, and as we are seeing, is that we only allow vehicles that give essential services. Those other vehicles which have no business, we don't allow to pass through this barrier. Yeah.
And talk about the essential services. We've seen some lorries, actually the ones that usually ferry sand, and of course sand is a construction material. Are you allowing even the kind of vehicles transporting building materials to pass by?
Very well. Those are one of the conditions we are being given, that we allow them safe passage. As long as they fall under that schedule, we allow safe passage, subject to allowing the driver and a turnboy or a spare driver. Only 2 or 1 in the vehicle.
What are some of the many reasons, and actually, or if I can put it, excuses that people are putting in terms of those who are wanting to? What's interesting, this particular vehicle actually looks like it actually, a lot of times we see it being used by ODM leader Raila Odinga, if I'm not wrong. And this particular vehicle, we're not sure if the ODM leader is actually inside of this particular vehicle, but this vehicle actually, not once, not twice, but in very many occasions, it actually transports the ODM leader, that is Raila Odinga. Of course, as at now, we are not yet sure if Raila himself is in this particular. If we just, okay, that vehicle has gone. But actually, this we can confirm that this is the vehicle that usually transports ODM leader Raila Odinga. But just to go back, in terms of the many excuses people are giving, or rather motorists are giving, passing through this particular barrier, some of them are saying they're going to, pick sick persons and all that. What are some of the other reasons that they are giving for them to pass here?
Actually, as I said, we only allow the essential services to pass through this border, and those are instructions we are having, and we're effecting to the letter. As per the vehicle you said, we have just seen. We don't know who is the owner, but as long as it is compliant, one person or one driver, and it has an immediate need, is only when we allow. Otherwise, we don't allow any person. You have witnessed yourselves while you are around. We have returned several vehicles, small vehicles, and these big lorries you are seeing, for lack of documentation. Subject to documentation, we allow entry and exit.
There has been
no documentation, no entry, no exit.
No exit, but a lot of some border riders actually, and pedestrians alike, are attempting to use some of the shortcuts just to avoid this particular barrier. Have you encountered such occurrences? Them, borders using the panel routes and the shortcuts within Isinya, other entry points other than the highway?
As you stand here, you are seeing we have officers manning the Panya route. So in our place, I don't have a problem whereby borders and other vehicles are headed to us. This is a strategic place where it was noted to be a strategic place. No vehicle can pass Panya route. No piggy, yes, but no vehicle can pass Panya route.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That has been Eden Ahmed in charge of this particular roadblock in Isinya. This is a very strategic exit and entry point, because from here you go all the way to the Namanga border. That is a very vital point because it is neighboring both Tanzania and Kenya. And according to Aden Ahmed, they're just allowing any kind of good just to pass by, and it has to be essential services for those who want to go through this particular roadblock. It is not just happening here in Isinya, it is happening around the Nairobi metropolitan area as directed by the head of state. It is now a week since this particular exercise starting, meaning that we have about 13 days to go in line with the 21-day cessation of movement order as directed and gazetted by the government. Olive.
Thank you, Seth. I wonder if Seth caught a glimpse of the ODM party leader in that particular vehicle. He says usually transports him. If you'll recall, the Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutyambaye, had said those who snuck out of Nairobi over the Easter festivities should expect to stay where they are. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board, KMPDU, want the government to fast-track the process of hiring medical personnel, saying the ones working are fatigued and overwhelmed as they're working more hours in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. The medics also say the delay in providing PPEs, that is personal protective equipment, to health workers is putting their lives and the lives of their patients at risk.
Working in partnership with the government to see what can be done within the available resources so that we can protect our people. But as we do that, we must remember all the time to protect the frontline soldiers. Even when the army goes to war, they are given equipment, they are given instruments to go fight. We are sending our healthcare workers to the field empty-handed. So we want them to die? I don't think that's the plan.
Is 4 doctors who have confirmed positive. We have 10 nurses, 10 clinical officers, and over 70 other healthcare workers under quarantine as we speak, who are on the front line handling the patient, those who have been put in mandatory quarantine and those in the hospitals. And remember, even the child who died in KNH, Kenyatta National Hospital, the child, those workers who had come into contact were exposed, so they're under quarantine. We've seen Siaya and what has happened in Siaya over the last 48 hours. Those workers are also under quarantine. So we have a good number of workers who are under quarantine. And that means that when workers go on quarantine, when frontline workers, we have a depleted number of staff to continue responding to the pandemic.
The Central Organization of Trade Unions Secretary General Francis Atwoli wants the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC, disbanded for continuously overstepping its mandate. Atwoli has criticized SRC for opposing the Council of Governors' move to offer special allowances to health workers handling the COVID-19 pandemic in their respective counties.
The entry points on collective bargaining, SRC has no place. Any employer, particularly the devolved system in Kenya, governors and their governance and their county governments are independent mean presidents of those counties, and they can make decisions, quick decisions on the people that they lead. And they are more superior in terms of public management and administration more than SRC. And that's why we have said that this commission, Salaries Remuneration Commission, must be disbanded under the coming new BBI constitution or constitutional arrangements.
More news coming your way after this break.
Discovered the world-famous Molfix and saw the difference. Let's see how absorbent Molfix is. Molfix, thanks to its ultra-absorbent particles, can keep more liquid than the other diaper brand, so you can use it comfortably all day long. All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
Welcome back to NTV at One. The National Muslim COVID-19 Response Team has called upon Muslims to adhere to the government's directives on curbing the spread of COVID-19. In line with this, the team has put in place various teams to facilitate preparedness and management of the effects of the pandemic. The teams include body handling, burial, welfare and resource mobilization, home-based care and psychosocial support. Procedures have been developed related to handling of the dead presumed coronavirus victims, conducting of funeral prayers and burial procedures which emphasize on prevention of infection.
A team of volunteers in Nairobi, Mombasa, Eldoret, Nakuru and Bungoma have already been identified and established and have undergone the necessary training on handling of the dead, the diseased, cases of COVID-19. The volunteers with appropriate personal protection and equipment will provide assistance in handling the disease cases and will ensure that the bodies of Muslims will be wrapped in white sheets and placed in biodegradable sealed body bags before being transported to the burial areas. The dignity of the dead will have to be appreciated. We are concerned with what we saw happening in one of the counties yesterday.
In light of what happened in Siaya, the governor has ordered a probe as to why that burial was conducted in that disgraceful manner. ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi has called on the government to address the plight of Kenyans being mistreated in China in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic. Mudavadi has challenged the Jubilee administration to come up with plans on how to evacuate Kenyans suffering in different countries due to the negative impacts of the pandemic.
How these people got to China is now a secondary issue, which can be addressed separately and differently. What is critical is their plight and fate in the face of the coronavirus. Reliable sources indicate that they have been ejected into streets and are now in a state of hopelessness and destitution. They are also stranded. They cannot leave China to get back home or to relocate to a more friendly country because of international travel protocol challenges.
With the coronavirus ravaging countries across the world, here in Kenya, it is obvious that things have slowed down already. Massive job cuts or pay cuts are looming, and the pandemic has already dealt the country a severe economic blow. Majority of people from the informal settlements live from hand to mouth, and people are already feeling the pain, misery, and impoverishment from the new virus. NTV's Rose Wangui spoke to several families on how the pandemic has destroyed their livelihoods. The pandemic burden airs tonight at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Here is a preview.
In the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, life is increasingly becoming tough.
Njaa ndio itatuua wengine, hata si corona.
Nilitoka kazi, kapata landlord amenikatia mlango.
Massive job losses.
Tumesimamishwa kazi.
Mzee amesimamishwa jobs. Business is slowing down or worse, shutting down.
Kazi haiko sasa, lakini sasa ni kuzunguka tu nikitafuta polepole hata angalau kama naweza pata kama 20 nikule.
Mimi saa hii nipate 200. Naweza nunua chakula. Ukinunua sanitizer na ununue mask, sio pesa itakuwa imeisha.
We are not the only ones who've been dealt a blow. At least 6 people were killed when tornadoes ripped through Mississippi, prompting the southern U.S. state to declare an emergency. The tornadoes caused catastrophic damage, according to U.S. media, and prompted the National Weather Service to issue its highest level tornado alert. Governor Tate Reeves tweeted that he had declared a state of emergency to protect the health and safety of Mississippians in response to the severe tornadoes and storms hitting across the state. The Mississippi Emergency Management Agency reported that all 6 deaths occurred in the southern part of the state, and the Storm Prediction Center said it expected severe thunderstorms to continue through the night in Mississippi as well as in neighboring states of Alabama and Georgia. Taipei is turning to vending machines to help ease long lines at pharmacies as people queue up for their weekly ration of face masks. Taiwanese citizens are eligible to purchase 9 surgical-grade face masks per fortnight, and wearing masks is mandatory at most indoor public places and municipal buildings and on all public transport. The 3 vending machines are part of a pilot program which Taipei authorities are hoping to expand in the future, with increasing numbers of pharmacies opting out of the government mask rationing scheme due to staffing shortages. And that closes NTV at 1. Do keep it NTV. As soon as the Ministry of Health has an update, we will go there live. And of course, at 7 and 9 p.m., we have Salim Swale and Mark Masai.